Hello everybody, it's Zelda596 here, and welcome back to yet another Zelda video. And this time we have my personal top 10 favorite Zelda games of all time. Now please, just keep in mind this is my personal top 10 list, and I know quite a few of you guys are actually going to be disagreeing with me on this, so please let's not get too crazy about everything. So without wasting any more time, let's get into this top 10. Number 10, I have The Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages. So low spoiler warning, Oracle of Seasons is not on the list. So I'm going to quickly go over why I think Oracle of Ages is better than Seasons. So one main focus of Oracle of Ages and the Seasons. So in Ages you go back in time and back to the present, kind of like in Ocarina of Time. And with Oracle of Seasons you just change the seasons around. So going through to when I wanted to start playing the Oracle games, I actually thought the Seasons was going to be a lot better, because I was like, okay, cool, you know, a Seasons mechanic, like, I wonder how Nintendo's going to implement this. Like, it's got to be really good. It seems really interesting. You know, I don't think I've ever seen this done before in a game. But it actually turns out that I liked Ages better, simply because the Seasons mechanic, I personally feel like they didn't implement it as well as I thought they were going to. So when you're changing over the seasons, it almost just kind of feels like a palette swap at some points of the game. So I know when you turn it to winter, you know, you'll make like a giant snow path to reach a higher ledge, or in the springtime you'll make it so the flowers bloom and you can shoot up in those flowers, but you really don't do that often. I just didn't personally seem like there was a lot of use for the seasons mechanic. It wasn't used as much as I personally feel like it should have been, and it could have been a bit better other than just like a simple like palette swap or a texture swap or whatever you want to call it. So that's why I kind of think Ages is better. Also, the time mechanic in Ages is really well, because you go back in time and, you know, a specific layout is completely different. For example, that one island with all the dinosaurs, you lose all your stuff. That was so much fun. I really enjoyed that. That is like my favorite part of that entire Oracle of Ages. And it's like you gotta go back and forth through the times to get all of your stuff back, and I really enjoyed that about Ages. And I just kind of like the more puzzle mechanic of Ages versus the more combat oriented part of Seasons. Now I do have to agree, Seasons I think does have some of the better dungeons, but Ages is still my favorite out of the two of them. So on to number 9. I have to give this spot to the OG original Zelda. So I gotta have the original Zelda somewhere on the list. I gotta have it so, you know, the representative of what Zelda games really are, exploration. So I don't want to say I haven't 100% beat this game yet. I remember I got all the way up to the 8th dungeon, I believe, and of course I had to use a guide. You know, that game is way too hard not to use a guide with, but for the most part I try not to use guides at all in Zelda games. But Zelda 1, you kind of have to use a guide. You're never going to find out any of this stuff without mindlessly exploring for hours and wasting a bunch of time. You know, back in 1986, I believe, is when this game was released. People didn't have the internet, so it was, you know, you spent time on games more than we do now. Now we have a 15-hour, 13-hour campaign, single player, whatever. Back then, it would take them hours on end just to beat a game, but now that the internet's here, you know, we can get through it with, you know, 8 hours. But Zelda 1, it's super fun. You know, you just go out, explore, do whatever, and the game's actually really challenging too. That's what I really like about Zelda 1. It's really challenging. Especially the Dark Nuts, though they are so hard to kill. I don't have the original copy of Zelda 1, but I have been playing it on the virtual console, and I haven't gotten around to finish it yet, but I definitely will. So this is where a lot of people are going to, you know, fight with me. I think Ocarina of Time is number 8, and you know, if you wonder why I think this way about Ocarina of Time, go back and see the little reviews of Ocarina of Time. I'll put a link to the description. I'll put a link to the video down below in the description. Long story short, a little spoiler for that video is I just think the story wasn't fully fleshed out in Ocarina of Time. There could have been more in the adult section of the game, but and maybe a little bit more time traveling stuff too, because you travel back and forth through the kid and adult, and the layouts and stuff are basically the same, but in Oracle of Ages it was completely different. So that's another thing I think they could have done with Ocarina of Time. Number 7 on this list is going to go to Twilight Princess. So I like Twilight Princess. Twilight Princess is really fun. I really like the realistic art style. The combat is super fun. The dungeons are pretty fun. But to me, the story is kind of forgettable besides the last part of the story. That's really memorable. But the story's kind of forgettable, and some of the dungeons are kind of forgettable. Like, the only ones I really remember are like Arbiter's Ground, the Snow Temple, and like the City in the Sky. That's really the only ones that really stand out for me. The others are kind of just like meh, they're blah. So that's kind of why I think Twilight Princess is number 7. So number 6 on this list is Link's Awakening, or Link's Awakening DX, whichever, you know, probably DX since it's the better version. But Link's Awakening was such a fun game, especially for the first Zelda game to ever be on a handheld. They did it flawlessly. It was so interesting. A little bit of a spoiler warning, if you have not played Link's Awakening yet, you might want to skip a little bit ahead to the video to number 5. But in Link's Awakening, as soon as I started up the game, I knew that the game wasn't going to be real. You know, it was just going to be a dream. Why else would they call it Link's Awakening? Because it's Link's awakening himself. But the whole game isn't real. It's just a dream. I think that's so cool. The dungeons are so cool, and it's a bunch of talk about like, oh, the windfish this, the windfish that, and then you finally go and awaken the windfish, and awakening the windfish awakens Link himself, which I really found interesting and cool. And then the world itself was just really fun to explore, and the dungeons were really cool. I really enjoyed Link's Awakening. I think it's actually pretty underrated with other like top 10 lists and stuff. I think Link's Awakening is actually really good. Next one we got is Wind Waker. So a lot of people might think Wind Waker would be a little bit higher too, but I like Wind Waker. It's really fun. Wind Waker is really memorable. That's one of the Zelda games that really sticks out for everybody, is because it's different. You know, everything's cartoony, and you remember almost everything about the game too. You remember Dragon Roost, you remember Windfall, you remember Outset Island. It's really a memorable game. You remember going out exploring the Great Ocean, but I mean, I didn't really enjoy exploring the ocean that much. I felt like a lot of it was too much water and not enough land. Like, yes, I understand, it's an ocean game, it's a pirate game, whatever, blah blah blah, but I think the islands could have been a little bit bigger, maybe a little bit more islands. I mean, there's like, what, like 50 islands in the game or something like that, but I think that the islands could have been a little bit bigger, maybe a little bit more to do. But you go to an island and sometimes there's just nothing to do. You travel across, you know, the ocean, you spend 20 minutes traveling to an island, and it's not even worth it. There's nothing there to explore. But like I said, once you actually are on land, you're doing side quests. Like, all of the characters are so memorable in Wind Waker, and like the story is okay. The story's not the greatest, but it's really cool, and the combat is super fun. You know, stealing your opponent's weapons, that was really fun. Wind Waker is seriously just a memorable game. Like, you will play Wind Waker, let's say you don't beat it because you don't like it, you're eventually going to want to go back to it and play it. Everybody goes back to Wind Waker and plays that game. Like, I feel like every, 5 years, you at least got to replay Wind Waker. It's just that much fun. So here we got yet another Zelda game that I think is a bit underrated. So we have The Legend of Zelda Minish Cap. So Minish Cap, I think, was actually my first Zelda game. I got it for the Game Boy Advance, and I played it, and it was so much fun. I love Minish Cap. The music in Minish Cap, oh, it's so good. What is it, the Minish Forest, or whatever it's called? so good. And the story is actually really interesting too. Vaati is a new villain, and he comes in and, you know, he turns Zelda to stone, and only the Pikoris, and, you know, transforming to like Minish size. That's so much fun. Minish Cap is seriously really underrated, and I'm kind of upset about that a bit, but I really enjoy Minish Cap too. It's super fun. I love playing as the Minish and doing dungeons as the Minish too, and you're fighting most of the bosses or the enemies will be like, well, mostly the bosses are just normal. They're normal sized versions of enemies like the Choo Choo and then the Octorok. And you're little when you're fighting them, so you're just fighting a giant one, and I think that's pretty cool, you know. And a lot of the weapons in here and the gear and stuff were really interesting, like the Gust Bellows. You know, we haven't seen that before, and we didn't see it again until Skyward Sword. But seriously, Minish Cap, if you haven't played Minish Cap yet, you're seriously missing out. Minish Cap is really fun, especially for a handheld game. Like, it might not have that much exploration to it, and the world's kind of small. But the world's so small and it's got so much stuff to do. You know, you can fuse Kingstones with almost everybody in the game and get cool little side quests. Plus Tingle's in the game too, so I like Tingle. One more thing about the Minish Cap is Link and Zelda are actually friends in this. In the beginning of the game, she actually comes and wakes you up. She takes you out on a date, basically to the carnival, and it's really interesting. I love the Zelda games when Link and Zelda have a good interaction between them, instead of, you know, hey, here's some snobby bitch princess, go save her because she's the princess and she needs to be saved. Like, no, I'm not wasting my time to go save somebody that I don't even know and I don't care about. She doesn't care about me because I'm like a poor person or something. No, I want to go out and save my best friend. I want to go out and save my childhood friend, because that's what it's all about, saving your friendship. And, you know, Minish Cap definitely makes you feel attached to Zelda in the first 20-30 minutes of the game. It makes you actually care about her. It makes you want to actually go out and save Zelda. Here we go. Number 3, the 2017 release of Breath of the Wild. Now, I waited 6 years for this game to come out, and you just got to know the amount of excitement that I had when it finally got released. It was delay after delay after delay, and when it finally came out, it was a miracle, and it was totally worth the wait. This game is so realistic at times. Like, what other game do you have that you can just walk up to a tree, grab an apple, cook it? Like, what other games are there like that, where you just walk up to a tree and grab an apple? I can't really think of any games like that. The amount of exploration in Breath of the Wild is humongous. XD meme. No, but seriously, the map is huge. I'm 130 hours in the game, and I've only explored about half of the map. That kind of says something. Now, yes, I have not defeated the game. I have not beat the game yet, and I would not like any spoilers either. But, and I know I do have to beat it soon, but I'm exploring the entire map. You know, they've been working on this game for 6 years. I'm going to explore the entire map, because that's what they want you to do. They want you to go and look in every little corner, and they took time out of their day to make those little tiny corners of the map and this and that people aren't even going to see. So I just want to go around and make sure that I see everything. The amount of content in this game is crazy too. You can finally steal your opponent's weapons again. It's almost like an RPG mechanic with the weapons and shields and bow and arrows, how, you know, they do a certain amount of damage and you need good armor and stuff. I really like that. Unfortunately, I don't know too much about the story, seeing as how I'm only halfway through, but so far from the story that I'm seeing, it seems decent and it seems alright. Nothing completely revolutionary or groundbreaking though. But the revolutionary and groundbreaking part is the amount of exploration and the amount of side quests, the shrines, the Korok seeds, the little mini puzzles that you do to get Korok seeds, the weapons, the enemies. The enemies, one thing that I do have to kind of complain about the enemies is that you basically just run into the same 10 different types of enemies throughout the entire map. And yes, you run into stronger variations of them, but I just wish that we found there was more races, you know, like more enemies in the game. But I guess that's kind of like Zelda games in general. They do kind of have the same stylish enemies across the whole game, which I wish that they would just do more variations of enemies and such, other than the same kind but just stronger levels as you get further in the game. One more complaint that I have about Breath of the Wild is the game might actually be too big. Now, I get so overwhelmed when I, you know, do the Sheikah Slate and I get a whole new portion of the map unlocked. I'm just like, fuck, I gotta explore all of this shit, and like, it's gonna take me like 10 hours just to explore this one part of the map, and this map is huge. That's the one thing, I just get overwhelmed. That's all, really. And you know, it's kind of worth it though, because it's just, there's so much shit to do, and it's so much fun. There's so much crap to do. It's just overwhelming at times. It's like, if you have high anxiety and you get overwhelmed very easily, Breath of the Wild might not be the game for you. But you know, you also don't have to explore everything. But me being that huge Zelda fan that I am, I gotta explore everything. You know, you can just go ahead and do the story, beat the game. You can beat the game in like an hour now. But I want to give the producers and Sakurai and everyone, not Sakurai, but whatever his name is, I forget his name. I want to give them, you know, I paid $60 for this game. I want to explore everything. And I definitely don't regret spending $60 on this game at all. One more thing too is the DLC coming. We're getting a new story. We're getting a hard mode. You're getting like new weapons, new armor, and you're getting like things where you can track where you've been. The DLC for this is gonna be wild. It's gonna be sweet. It's gonna keep people playing this game for years, including myself. I'm probably not even gonna finish this game by the end of 2017. No, I probably will, but you know, I got this game in March and it's the end of May and I still haven't beat it yet. It's crazy. But anyways, enough of Breath of the Wild. I'll do a review of that game when I finish it, so make sure you look out for that and subscribe so that you can see it coming and you can watch it. So this is a Zelda game that a lot of people are going to disagree with me on, and they actually think that this game is really bad. But I think Skyward Sword is the second best Zelda game in the franchise. So I say that because the story in Skyward Sword is phenomenal. The story is so good. You and Zelda have such a good friendship in the beginning. It's like Minish Cap, but a lot better. You and Zelda have a good friendship in the beginning. You actually care about Zelda when shit hits the fan. You really want to go out and save her. She's been your childhood friend. You know, she looks out for you when it comes to Groose. When Groose is like bullying you and like fucking with you, Zelda steps in and is like, yo, boy, you better back off my nigga's Link. Like, come on. And the story is so good. You know, Groose actually ends up becoming like a really good guy, and he cares about you. Girahim is one of the best Zelda villains ever. He is so good and fleshed out. Oh, Girahim is seriously like one of my favorite villains of all time. You know, he's strong. The final fight between him is so much fun. And then Demise was kind of a strange case, and I don't know why he was like. Girahim should have been the final boss. If Girahim should have been, if Girahim was the final boss, this would be like one of my favorite. Like, I mean, it already is one of my favorite games of all time, but like this would probably be my favorite game of all time, hands down. Now, a lot of people complain about the motion controls and not being able to explore that often, but I actually enjoyed the motion controls. I didn't really have a lot of issues with it. A lot of people were like, oh, you know, it's unresponsive, the combat's not fun, blah blah. But I think actually the combat in Skyward Sword is the best combat in a lot of games. You know, your enemies actually know when you're swinging and they block your attacks. Like, you don't have that happen that often. For example, in Breath of the Wild, if there's like an enemy that's just holding up his shield, you can just run up to him, you know, hit him a few times, he's gonna drop his shield, you just keep hitting him. But no, in Skyward Sword, you actually have to plan out each one of your moves. You gotta know, you gotta like pretend like you're gonna swing upwards, but then you actually come in from the side and get him. You know, and exploration was kind of on the weaker side. I definitely have to agree with that. But other than exploration, like, and not being able to actually explore the whole map at once, and then the map being divided up into 3 parts, that's alright. But this story definitely takes it away. I personally didn't have any issues with the motion controls, and music was pretty good too. The music was cool, and they added in like an RPG element in this too, where you can like upgrade your weapons and stuff like that. That was really interesting. One thing that I do have to definitely say about Skyward Sword is I hate when you pick up the same item again, it reads the same description to you, and it's so annoying because you run into 500 of those amber fossil things, and you read it every single time. That is very annoying. Thank goodness they did not do that again with Breath of the Wild. Now here it is, the moment you guys have all been waiting for. My personal favorite Zelda game of all time is Majora's Mask. Now a lot of people do kind of put Majora's Mask high on their list, but not a lot of people really put it at number 1 or put it above Ocarina of Time. I think Majora's Mask is the best Zelda game ever. Yes, the world is small. Yes, you know, oh, it's a rip-off of Ocarina of Time. They just used the same characters. Nigga, they had a year to make this game. Obviously, they're going to take elements from Ocarina of Time. Obviously, they're going to take characters from Ocarina of Time. They had a year to make this game. You think that they're going to make a brand new character, like a whole cast of characters, in less than a year? No, they ain't got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. No, they made the world, and yeah, the world is kind of small, but again, they were in a 1-year time limit. They can't make a game like Breath of the Wild in 1 year, my boy. They can't even make a game like Ocarina of Time in 1 year. Now, if they actually did spend more time on Majora's Mask, I think the game would be even better. But Majora's Mask I like because the 3-day mechanic, when I very first played this game, I was like, you're on a timer this entire game. That's so dumb. I hate this game. Screw that. I can understand 100% why people do not like Majora's Mask because of that mechanic. I can definitely see why people won't play the game because of that. But you also kind of have to realize that you're not really under a time limit though, because you can always go back in time. If you know time management, this game will definitely help you out. This game actually even helped me out in real life, you know, managing my time better, and like, you know, doing like it helped me with like multitasking, like, oh, I could be saving time doing this. And it's also, the story in Majora's Mask makes you really like, you need to spend time with family members more, because what if this really was the last day on Earth and you didn't spend a lot of time, you know, with your grandparents or your parents or your friends? You know, it really makes you go out and like enjoy people's presence more, because you don't actually know when the last day ever is. And the story of Majora's Mask is pretty good. The beginning starts out strong, the end definitely starts out strong. The Happy Mask Salesman is so cool. Skull Kid is hands down one of my favorite, actually hands down is my favorite villain of all time. I love Skull Kid. He's so cool, he's young, he's very evil, and it's not Skull Kid himself, but it's the mask. But the mask had a cool design. It's like a heart with thorns in it, or coming out of it. It's like a blend between good and evil. And the mask is so powerful that nobody can really touch it without turning evil. And it's just a lot of fun. And each of the subsections, like the Gorons, the Zoras, the Dekus, and then the Valley, I forget what it's called. Those are all cool. They each have their own theme, and you really got to dig deep with Majora's Mask story. I think that the reason why some people don't really enjoy it that well is because they don't actually take time to pay attention to the story. Talk to every single NPC in the game. Every single NPC has like a side quest that's got something to do. It makes you care about them so much. When the time actually comes, you're like, damn, I didn't help this marriage. Or damn, I didn't, you know, save the farm. I didn't save the girl from the farm. Like, it actually means shit to you. In any of these previous Zelda games that I mentioned, you can waste your time doing whatever the hell you want. You want to go swimming, you want to go fishing, you want to go exploration. No, Majora's Mask, you got to get shit done, because in a real life situation, in a real life scenario, you need to get shit done. you need to do what you need to do to save the world, because if this actually happened, a villain's not going to sit there and wait for you to come and kill him. No, he's going to destroy the world in 3 days. It's like in Dragon Ball Z and the Cell saga, when Cell's like, yo, you guys gotta come fight me or I'm blowing up the world in 10 days. Like, you think that they sat around and lollylagged? Yeah, Goku did, because Goku's a fuckboy, but everyone else just sat there and trained the whole time so that they can stop him, so that, you know, when that 10th day comes, nobody, like they're actually gonna save the world. That's how it's like in Majora's Mask, and that's really what I like about Majora's Mask, because no other game in the entire world is actually in like a continuous, you know, time like that. Like, you just constantly doing something. You need to be saving the world. You can't be fucking around going fishing or swimming. But yeah, that's why I really like Majora's Mask so much. I'll probably make a separate video on that, and you know, why I like Majora's Mask so much. Yeah, this is a 5-minute part of this entire video, but I can go on for another 15 minutes, but I probably will make another video on why I enjoy Majora's Mask and dissect each and every little part about Majora's Mask and what I like about it, what I don't like about it. This is just scratching the tip of the iceberg, my boys, so make sure you watch out for that next video about Majora's Mask and why I like it so much.